All right, well, guys, let's go ahead and get started. So once again, welcome to our online citizenship class. So we're already now into week number 2. So today our focus is going to be on American places. So talking about some of the questions on the citizenship test that involve places in the United States. Okay, but first we're going to try a little exercise. And again, this will be an opportunity for us to practice a little bit for the reading and the writing parts of the English test on the citizenship test. So now this first activity, this first reading activity, we're going to use our microphones. Okay, so in just a moment, we're going to turn on our microphones and try this activity. But let me go ahead and give you the directions first. Okay, so what I'm going to do is show you a sentence or a question on the screen. Now, these are using words from the reading vocabulary that the USCIS, the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, uses on the test. Okay, so you will see some examples of the types of reading that you will see on the in the citizenship interview. Now, what I'm going to do is some of the sentences have the letter A next to them, and some of the sentences have the letter B. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask different students here in the group to read one of the sentences, but be careful, be careful. The sentences are not always going to be in the same place. So for example, the A sentence might be on the left, or it might be on the right. So I will tell you what letter to read, but you have to be careful which sentence it is, okay? So let's try it. Let's try this little activity. Okay, so get ready. So I'm going to call on a student. So, all right, Elaine, you're going to read the A sentence. All right, so Elaine, turn on your microphones. All right, everybody, turn on your microphones. You can turn them on for this first activity. All right, Elaine, you read the A sentence. Yeah.
B.
Read the A sentence.
And when is Columbus Day?
All right, very good. Gisela, read the B sentence.
Who is the father of our country?
All right, very good. So now we understand. Okay, all right, so next time, Elena, you read the A sentence.
What colors are on the American flag?
Okay, very good. Elaine, the B sentence.
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Who can, I don't know how to say.
Just try it.
Who can, I don't know.
All right, so who can elect Congress?
Elect Congress.
Okay, very good. All right, Gisela, now you read the B sentence, Gisela.
Abraham Lincoln lived in the White House.
Very good. Olena, you read the A sentence.
What is the Bill of Rights?
Very good. Okay, that's the idea. Now we're going to do it a little bit faster. All right, so now we understand. Now we're going to do it a little bit faster. Okay, so Elaine, you read the B sentence.
Me again. B sentence. When is Independence Day?
All right, Gisela, read the A sentence.
George Washington is the father of our country.
All right, Olena, read the A sentence.
Which country is north of the United States?
Elaine, read the B sentence.
How many
senators
are there?
Okay, Gisela, read the B sentence.
When do citizens elect the president?
Olena, read the A sentence.
Who is the president?
Oh, very good. Okay. All right, now guys, here's the final practice, the final round. Now, in this practice, I'm just going to call on one student, okay? So now the idea is, as I call on the one student for each screen, it's going to be very fast. So it's going to be only one sentence, but it will appear very quickly and then disappear, okay? And you're going to see it only one time. Okay, so that's how this last round works. All right, so we ready? Yes. Okay, here we go. All right, Olena, read it.
What is the largest state?
Very good. All right, Gisela.
Who was the second president?
Very good. Elaine.
Mm. What city is the capital of US?
Very good. Olena.
How many people live in America?
Gisela.
When is Labor Day?
Very good. All right, excellent. Okay, guys, so you can turn off your mics now for a moment. Okay, so guys, this was a demonstration of the types of sentences and questions that you will see on the reading test of the citizenship. Now remember, you get 3 chances to read one sentence correctly. So everybody, you did a pretty good job. These were all using words from the reading vocabulary. Now again, after we're finished here this morning, I will send you the reading and writing vocabulary lists so that you can begin to practice. But for example, you saw these are the sentences and questions that you have to read on the interview. Now, before we continue, you might be wondering, Mr. John, do I have to read it that fast? No, you don't have to read it that fast. This was just a game, but a way to just practice this. And so far, everybody, I feel pretty good. I think you're going to do pretty well on this part of the test. Okay, now the next part, this part might be a little more difficult. So that's why we're going to practice a little bit more in the next few weeks with the writing part of the test. All right, so does everybody have a pencil or pen ready and some paper? So in this particular activity, now again, we're going to start kind of slow this morning. So we're not going to give a whole sentence. Instead, we're just going to practice writing some words and phrases. So again, with your paper and pencil, what I would like for you to do right now, so on your paper and pencil, I need you to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so on your paper, just put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Because I'm going to read 8 words and phrases that you will need to put on the paper. Okay, so do that right now. So put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, all right, now you wrote them on your paper. Good. Okay, so what I'm going to do in just a moment is I'm going to read these words or phrases. Now, again, I'm going to repeat them a couple of times. So that's the idea. So I'll try to read them slowly. And the idea is you need to write them on your paper. Now again, I can't see you, so don't try to cheat. Okay, don't use your phones or anything. Just try your best to see if you can write these words and phrases. And then when we're finished, I will put the words on the screen so that you can see how well you did. Okay, so again, everybody got their pencil and pen ready and your paper ready. So I'm going to read these 8 words and phrases. You will need to write them on your paper. So guys, I'm going to stop sharing the screen now, and I'm going to read these words. Okay, so guys, get ready. All right, here we go. So I'm going to read them a couple of times. All right, so here is number 1. Number 1 is Congress. Congress. Okay, number 2. Number 2 is Flag Day. Flag Day. Okay, number 3, dollar bill. Dollar bill. Number 4, president. President. Number 5, freedom of speech. Freedom of speech. Number 6, citizens. Citizens. Number 7, taxes. Taxes. Okay, and finally, number 8, vote. Vote. Okay, I'll read them one more time. So number 1, Congress. Number 2, Flag Day. Number 3, dollar bill. Number 4, president. Number 5, freedom of speech. Number 6, citizens. Number 7, taxes. Number 8, vote. Okay, I'm now going to share the screen so you can see the answers on the screen. And you can check your spelling. Okay, here are the 8 words. So take a look. Okay, has everyone had a chance to look at their answers? Okay, so how did you do? Did we do okay? 50-50? What do you think? Gisela, how did you do?
Yeah, actually, I doing good, but I mean, I forgot how write speech, and I put
Mm-hmm.
speech with a like a EA,
Okay.
but I don't know about it. It's double E, so that
Oh,
was my
well,
mistake.
we'll talk about that, Gisela. I'll talk about that in
Oh, okay.
just a moment. All right, Elaine, how did you do? Okay.
I correct 5.
5. Okay. Did you get close with the other words? Did you just miss a
Close,
few?
but just the speech, I forgot how to
Okay.
spell.
Okay. All right. Olena, how did you do? 50-50?
I did 6 errors.
Okay. Now, the question, of course, is about spelling. So I think that's Gisela mentioned that. So Elena, did you have any problems with spelling words?
Spelling book.
Spelling, did you have any problems writing or spelling the words?
Writing. I have problem.
Okay. Well, that's what we'll talk about next. Okay. So everybody, again, that's the question, and Gisela asked about it. So the question here is, again, when it comes to practicing, so this is the first thing I want to mention. When we're finished here today, I'll send you the links to the reading and writing vocabulary. So if this part was difficult, you need to practice. Okay. Got to practice those words. Now, we are going to continue to practice for the English test over the next 7 weeks. So in fact, next week we're going to do some writing practice with many of the words from the test. Okay, so the idea is we will be practicing quite a bit for the writing section. But the important thing here for everybody is you need to practice too. You need to practice for this a lot, especially the writing part. So I think you guys are going to be okay with the reading. You need to practice the reading, but you need to really practice with the writing. Okay, now Gisela asked about spelling. So for example, if we didn't spell speech correctly, S-P-E-A-C-H, for example. So the question here is, what about spelling? Because that's usually the question students ask. Is spelling important? So again, is writing, are writing the words correctly, is that really important? Okay, well guys, are you ready for the answer? Okay, so this is what USCIS will tell us. So here we go, ready? The answer is maybe. So you might be surprised by this. So, but the important thing to remember here is you don't have to be perfect at spelling. Okay, so Gisela, hopefully will answer part of your question. If I can understand the word, so let's say again you forget to use the right letter, or for example in dollar you put one L instead of two L's. USCIS, what they tell us as the teachers, they tell us that the word must be close in spelling. Okay, so in other words, we have to be able to understand the word. If you don't spell it perfectly, that's okay. Okay, that's okay, but it has to be close. So if I see the word, okay, so for example, if you put speech, I'll put it in the chat box. So if you put S-P-E-A-C-H, or if you put dollar with one L, these are probably okay. These are probably okay. Now, if we forget some words, for example, some of these words like the word of, if we forget the word of, or if we forget the word the or the, again, USCIS said that's okay. You can forget the little words, but you cannot forget the big words. So the important words. So again, that's one of the things we're going to practice next week, is practicing with those important words. Okay, so once again, everybody, spelling is important, but it is not exactly the most important. We need to be close, okay? So hopefully you guys were close in most of the words, but you do need to practice them, okay? And remember, in the interview, you do not see the words. They don't write the sentence, you have to listen to the person and you have to write it. So again, next week, we're going to do some more practice with the spelling, especially some of those more difficult words, okay? So don't worry, we're going to keep practicing, but you need to practice too, all right? So you got to make sure you practice at home. Okay, well guys, we're going to move on now to the 100 questions. So today our topic is talking about American places. So the idea is some of the questions in the citizenship interview talk about some interesting and important locations in the United States. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the link here, and we're going to look at some of the information here about the geography of the United States. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in here. Okay. All right, so everyone, let's say that word together, geography. Let's try it, ready? Geography. All right, so hopefully you were practicing it, okay? Now, what I would like to do, so again, I don't want to read all by myself. I would like for some of you to help me. So what I would like to do here in this first example is I'm going to read a little bit, and then I'm going to ask you to help me. So I'll start, and let's talk about some important things, and then we will review some of the information here today. All right, now first off, here's something interesting. The United States is the third largest country in the world. So we have a very big population and a very big size as well, but we are the third largest in the world. Now it is in North America. So everyone, North America, as you see here on the globe, this is North America. So North America includes the United States. Okay, so there's the United States there. Okay, what about to the north of the United States? What country is to the north? Who can tell me?
Canada.
It is Canada. Yeah. Has anybody been to Canada before? Have you been to Canada, Saba?
Yes.
Okay, which place have you been to in Canada?
I saw Montreal and Quebec and Ottawa, Toronto.
So you practiced some French there, didn't you?
Yeah, I know them in French, not in American.
Yeah, so so everybody, if you didn't know, some parts of Canada, they speak French, right? Okay. All right, and then what about south of the United States? Who can tell me which country is south of the United States? Who knows this one?
Mexico.
All
Mexico?
right, good answer. So yes, it is Mexico. So yes, now what's funny, guys, is that if you talk to a person from the United States and you say, are you an American? A person from the United States would say, yes, I'm an American. But what's interesting is if you talk to someone from Mexico, they might also say, I'm an American. What's interesting here is people from the United States, they think they are the only Americans. But we forget that all of this is called North America. So people from Canada and especially people from Mexico and Central America, they often say, well, I'm American too. But remember, people from the United States, they say, no, 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 no. If you're from Mexico, you're Mexican, right? If you're from Canada, you're Canadian. But for some reason here in the United States, we say we are American. So that can be kind of confusing, especially to my students from Mexico and South America. But you are correct. Canada is to the north, the United States is here, and then Mexico is to the south. Okay? So when we think of North America, it's between two oceans. Okay, so everyone, let's say that, oceans. Okay. All right, now we have two oceans. We have the Atlantic Ocean. So let's make a little line there. Okay, so there's the Atlantic Ocean. So that's the ocean that we have on the east of the United States, right? The East Coast. Okay, and then we have the ocean that is located on the west of the United States. Does anybody know the name of the ocean on the west coast
Is
of
it
the United States?
Pacific?
It is the Pacific. Yes, the Pacific Ocean. All right, very good. So once again, we've got Mexico, we've got Canada, we've got Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. So that's, again, a good start for us to think about when we think about the geography of this part of the world, okay? Now, what's interesting is, in fact, Elaine and I, we were talking about this, the geography of the United States is very interesting. Many, many different places, right? So Elaine, we were talking about driving to Utah, driving to South Carolina, driving to Seattle. So Elaine, do all of these places look the same or do they look different?
Look different.
Yeah, so they're all very different places, right? So Utah is kind of like very dry, like the desert, right? Yeah, what was, tell us about Seattle. What was Seattle like?
Seattle, I feel a little bit humid and we can see the tree is different.
Yeah, the trees are different. Lots of rain. Of course, not now. They need rain right now, but lots of rain in Seattle. Yeah. So if anybody here has traveled throughout the United States, and in just a moment I'll ask you specifically, the United States is a very big country and has lots of different places, right? So for example, everyone, let's say these words together. Everyone, turn on your microphones. Turn on your microphones. Let's say these words together. Are we ready? Let's say it. Mountains.
Mountains.
Lakes.
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 Rivers.
Rivers.
Deserts.
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 Yeah, now this is not dessert. Okay, so this is not this is not ice cream. This is deserts. So let's say it again. Deserts.
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 Yeah, so sometimes people get those confused. This is dessert. Okay, so for example, dessert has two S's. So for example, ice cream, right? That's dessert. But the desert is where it's very hot and very dry. Okay, now this last word often causes problems for students because in English, we do not pronounce all of the letters. So everyone, let's say this word, islands.
Islands.
Island.
Islands.
Islands.
Yes, now you probably notice the S here, right? So for example, it looks like islands, but no, we don't say islands. Now I know in other languages we might say isla, right? Or something like that. But here in English, for some reason, we do not pronounce the S. Okay, so guys, one more time. Mountains,
Mountains.
Mountains.
lakes,
Lakes.
Lakes.
rivers,
Rivers.
Rivers.
Deserts.
Deserts.
This is
You were going to say ice cream, I know. And islands.
islands.
Island.
Island.
Very good. Okay, now let's continue. Keep the microphones on for just a moment. Let's say these next ones together too, because again, we also need to know these words. So there are 50 states. Everyone, let's say states.
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 Okay, and 5 major territories. Everyone, let's say territories.
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 Very good. Now, in just a moment, we're going to learn more about these territories. Now, last week we talked about 50 states. Now, don't worry, you don't have to know all 50 states for the interview. And you don't have to know all 5 territories, but we are going to talk about them, okay? Now, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next screen. So, again, the geography of the United States, big country. We have oceans, right? We have mountains and all kinds of things. Okay, so I'm going to move on. I'm going to move on to the next screen. So here is the map of the United States. Now, again, real quickly, tell me, what are some of the states that you have visited in the United States? Tell me some of the states you have visited.
Idaho.
So Idaho. Wow. Let's use a small caption there. Okay, so here is Idaho, by the way. Interesting. So there's Idaho. Okay, what other places have we visited?
Utah.
Oh, Utah. So there's Utah. Yeah, Lane's been to a lot of places.
New York.
Okay, let's see. New York is over here. So there's New York. Okay.
Virginia.
Okay, Virginia. So here's Virginia, right here.
Washington, D.C.
Okay, so we'll talk about DC in just a moment. There's DC, that big star right there. It's very close. Okay. Okay, let's see. Gisela, have you been to any other states?
I've been in Chicago.
Okay, now Chicago's not a state. That's a city.
Illinois.
I'm sorry,
Illinois.
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 Yeah, there you
Illinois.
go.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so there's Illinois.
I'm being in Florida.
Okay, I think a lot of people know Florida, right? Yeah, Florida's getting the hurricane right now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right, let's see. Olena, what about you? Olena, have you been to some other states?
I just only Texas.
Say it again. Texas.
Texas.
Okay. Yeah, now be careful. We have the word Texas. Don't get confused with taxes. Like, so for example, a few minutes ago, we said taxes, right? Yeah, so Texas, they look very similar, don't they? Yeah, so be careful. Okay.
California.
Oh yeah, California. That's a big one there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been in Tennessee.
Okay, so here, let me put California up on the map, then we'll put Tennessee up there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, now now Saba, what direction is Tennessee from Kentucky?
It's in the south.
Yeah, so it's south of
Uh,
Kentucky. So
Kentucky, yes.
yeah, there's Kentucky. Let's put
T-
Kentucky on there.
yeah.
There we are.
And Georgia.
Okay, so there's Tennessee.
Ohio.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, there's
Ohio.
okay.
Ohio.
All right, now hold on, guys. I can only type so fast. All right, so there's Georgia. Okay.
Yeah.
There's Ohio. Okay.
Ohio is next to Kentucky.
Yeah, so
And
Ohio, what direction is Ohio from Kentucky? So Tennessee is
it's
south,
north.
north of Kentucky. Okay.
North,
All right.
east. And Massachusetts.
Massachusetts. Yeah.
Boston.
Massachusetts is all the way up here.
Yeah.
Now, of course, next week we'll talk about, or not next week, 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, we will talk about the 13 original colonies. So it looks like some of you people have already visited some of the colonies, some of the original places. Okay, now guys, we could spend a lot of time filling in all of the states, but of course we want to make sure we're familiar with the state where you live. So if you're living in Kentucky or if you're living in Ohio, you're going to need to know some of that information here in just a moment, because you're going to have to know the capitals of your states. But again, just keep in mind, when we think about those map directions, right, we have north. So everyone, let's say that. I want to fill that in here on our little compass. Let's say those again. Everyone, so let's say them together. Ready? North.
North.
Okay. Okay, what about the E? What does the E mean?
East.
East. Good. All right, the S?
South.
Very good. And the W?
West.
All right, very good. Okay, so we have those map directions. Very important for us to use. So again, 50 states. So we have, again, lots of different states. We don't have to name all of them, but you do have to name some of them. Now, if you notice here at the bottom, we also have some other places. So we mentioned already the Atlantic Ocean. Right, so the Atlantic Ocean is to the east, right? The Pacific is to the west, right?
West.
Of course, this is the United States, so we don't have to mark that. Mexico is what direction?
The south.
The south. And Canada is?
And the north.
To the north, yeah, all the way up there. Now, Canada is a very big country, a big land, but not a lot of people. So here's something surprising. The population of California, so the population of California is the same population as Canada.
Wow.
Did you know that?
Yes.
Yeah, California has about 39 million people, and so does Canada. So Canada is a big, big land, but not a lot of people. So in this case, a lot of territory, a lot of space, right? But not a lot of people. Now, do you know how many people live in the United States?
I don't know.
No.
No.
Any guesses? Nobody wants to guess? All right, well, I'll tell you. The United States has probably more than 330 million people. Now, that again, that sounds like a lot, but remember, China, for example, India, these countries are much, much bigger.
Much more, yeah.
Yeah, much bigger than the United States. Okay. All right. Now, Kentucky, of course, we're not a very big state. We don't have a lot of people in Kentucky. So again, in a few weeks, when we're getting closer to the presidential election, we'll talk a little bit more about the populations of each of these states. But let's go ahead and move on to our next slide. Okay. Now, this time I would like some people to help me read. So now let's talk a little bit about those lakes, rivers, and oceans. So Gisela, would you like to help us? What I'd like to do here is I'm going to divide each part into some different parts here. Okay. All right. So Gisela, I'll put the letter G here. Gisela, can you read that first part for us?
Water is very important for transportation, power, food, and tourism. Many large USA cities are near water. For example, Chicago and Detroit are near the Great Lakes. The five Great Lakes are in the northern part of the United States.
So, for example, if we go back to our map just a moment, these up here, these are the Great Lakes. Okay, so for example, Gisela, you said you'd been to Chicago, right? Do you know what lake is next to Chicago?
I don't remember the name, but yeah, we went to the lake.
Yeah, it's Lake Michigan.
Yep.
Michigan, yes.
Yeah. So Lake Michigan, for example, that's one of the names. Now, Ohio also is near a lake. So Ohio is next to Lake Erie. So this is Lake Erie that you see right here. So again, there are five lakes, five Great Lakes that we have here in the United States. Now, of course, we don't have a Great Lake in Kentucky. No, we don't have any Great Lakes necessarily. We don't have any oceans either. Saba, would you read the next part for us? I'll put an S there for Saba.
Okay. The Atlantic Ocean is on the east coast of the United States. Puerto Rico is in the Atlantic Ocean. It's one of the USA territories.
Very good.
The Pacific Ocean is on the west coast of the United States. The states of Hawaii is the Pacific Ocean.
Okay, so again, if we go back for just a moment to our map, we can see Hawaii is right here. Now, here's what's funny. Anytime we ever see a map of the United States, they always put Hawaii kind of at the bottom here. But the truth is, Hawaii is long, far, very far away from the United States. If you look at a real map of the United States, Hawaii is way far away. I'll tell you what, I'll put it up here on the screen for just a moment, and I'll show you how far away Hawaii is. It really is far away. So if I put it on Google Maps for just a moment, okay, so there's Hawaii. Everybody see that in the middle? Okay, now I'm going to zoom out. Watch what happens. Take a look. Do you see now? Look how far it is to the state of Hawaii. What do you think? Do you think we can swim to Hawaii?
Oh no.
Think so?
It's
Just
very far.
leave California, right? Olena, are you a good swimmer? Can you swim to?
No, I can't
No.
swim.
Can't swim. Okay, well maybe we don't need to swim then. Yeah, actually, guys, it is a very long distance. In fact, if we put Hawaii, let's just put Los Angeles for just a moment. Let me show you how far it is from Los Angeles to Hawaii. So just to fly is 5 hours and 30 minutes just from Los Angeles. So as you can see, it's not close. It is not close at all. Yeah, it's a pretty far distance. Now, of course, when we think about states that are also very far, let's not forget about the biggest state. Now, I know California and Texas are the largest in terms of populations, but actually, if we go north, we actually have this state here. What state is this? Do we know this state here?
Alaska?
It's Alaska. Now, if you notice, Alaska does not touch the United States. The only way you can get to Alaska is to drive through Canada or to fly. Now, for example, guys, I wanted to drive to Alaska. I wanted to see if I want to drive to Alaska. So, for example, I'll put in Anchorage. So Anchorage is this city here, all right? So there's Anchorage, okay? Now, if I wanted to drive, so I'll show you how far it is. If I want to drive, so Elaine, you mentioned 36 hours, right? So it is 64 hours to drive.
Wow.
So Elaine, are you ready to drive 64 hours to Alaska?
No.
No. Okay. Yeah. So guys, Elaine told me she drove 36 hours to Seattle. Seattle is right down here. So as you can see, it's a long way to Alaska. a very long way. So if you want to fly, for example, even from Cincinnati, it's 9 hours just to fly. So that's the United States. Yeah. So again, the United States is a very, very, very kind of spread out. We've got Alaska here on the north in Canada, and we've got Hawaii in the Pacific Ocean. So it's a pretty big place. Okay. Well, let's return now. Okay. So we're doing a great job. All right. So we mentioned Hawaii. Okay. All right. Let's see. Elena, would you like to read this last part for us?
The Mississippi River and Missouri River
Good.
are the two largest rivers in the United States. These rivers flow through the middle of the country.
Very good.
What lake, river, or ocean is near you?
Guys, what is the river that goes through Cincinnati there? Anybody know?
Ohio River.
Yeah, the Ohio. Now, the Ohio River is a very long river. So believe it or not, it is a very long river, but it is not as long as the Mississippi or the Missouri. So that's kind of a surprise to many people. Some people think the Ohio would be a longer river, but no. So what I'd like to do here in just a moment is to show where the Mississippi and where the Missouri rivers are located. But that's an important question on the test. Which one river? So remember, there are two rivers. Which of the two rivers which of the rivers of the United States are the longest? So the answer is Mississippi and the Missouri. Okay. All right. So guys, you did a great job so far reading through this information. All right. I'd like to go ahead now and return to our presentation. So again, let's review a few things. So we mentioned the capital. Okay. So Elaine, you told us you were at the capital of the United States. So what is the capital of the United States, Elaine?
Many museum.
Yeah, but what's the name of the capital?
Washington, D.C.
All right, very good. Yeah, so everybody, there we go. Washington, D.C. is the capital. Now, has anybody else been to Washington, D.C. before? Elaine's been there. Has anybody else? Anybody else seen it? No? Nobody else has been to D.C.?
Just the airport and the hotel.
Yeah, that's not the same thing. That's not the same thing.
No.
Gisela, you've never been to Washington, D.C.?
No, Mr. John, I would like go, but no.
Well, first off, I'm going to give advice to everybody. Don't go in the summertime. Don't go in the summertime.
Yes, too hot.
It's too hot, and
humid.
And about 1 million tourists everywhere. So my recommendation is maybe go in the spring. I think the spring is wonderful. I went there last year to take pictures of the cherry trees. So there are lots of cherry blossoms all over the place, and it's very beautiful at that time, and not as busy. Okay, so now we're going to see some of these buildings again. But for example, do we know this building here at the top? What building is this? Anybody know?
I know, but the English name.
Not the White House. No, the White House is over on the right. This is the White House over here. Yeah. But over on the left, this is the Capitol building. So this is where Congress meets. So in a couple of weeks, when we start talking about Congress, this building is going to be important. So we have the different houses of Congress. They meet here. So Elaine, did you go to the Capitol building?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we have the White House over here. So yes, you can see the White House. You can walk right by the fence there and see a picture of see the White House. Okay. What about here at the bottom? Do we know this one on the left? Anybody know this one?
I forgot the name.
I'll give you a hint. It's the first president of the United States name. Who was the first president?
Washington.
Washington. Yes, this is the Washington. Yeah, this is the Washington Monument, and this is what's called the National Mall. The National Mall. Now, it's not a shopping mall, okay, so you can't go shopping there. But they call it the mall. So it has a little pond, some trees. It's a beautiful place. And again, I would recommend if you go in the springtime, you will see cherry trees, all these beautiful cherry blossoms everywhere around the Washington Monument. Okay, and then over here on the right side is a picture of a very famous president. Which president is this?
Washington.
No, it's not. It's not Washington.
Oh, sorry. Lincoln.
Lincoln. Yes, it's Abraham Lincoln. This is the statue from the Lincoln Memorial. Now, when you see the National Mall, there's the Washington Monument here, and on the other side, so if you kind of turn it around, the Lincoln Memorial is on the other side of the mall. So you have the Washington Monument, and then you have the Lincoln Memorial. So guys, I would really recommend, maybe in after the quarantine and the COVID is all finished, I would really recommend go visit Washington, D.C. All of these places are actually very close to each other. You can walk to almost all of these places if you have a hotel downtown. Now, guys, be careful. The hotels downtown are expensive, but I would really recommend stay downtown, and then you can walk to all of these places. Okay, let's continue. Now, we were talking about capitals. So, for example, this is Kentucky. So you see a map here of Kentucky. Can anybody tell me the capital of Kentucky? Anybody know?
Louisville?
It is not Louisville.
No.
Anybody else want to guess? No?
Lexington.
Oh, good guess, Elena, but no, it's not Lexington either. Yeah. Now, many students make that mistake because Louisville and Lexington are the biggest cities. But the truth is, when they wanted to make the capital, they wanted to choose a city that was in the middle of Lexington and Louisville. So you see Louisville here, Lexington here. So actually, the city that is in the middle
Green.
is Frankfurt. Everyone, let's say that. Frankfurt.
Frankfurt.
So Frankfurt is the capital of Kentucky. So guys, if you are living in Kentucky, if they ask you the question, what is the capital of Kentucky? You say?
Frankfurt.
Frankfurt. Okay. Now, I know some of you are living in Ohio. So does anybody know the capital of Ohio?
Columbus.
It is Columbus. Yes, it is not Cincinnati. It is Columbus. And actually, Columbus is almost right in the middle of the state. So it's a little bit easier there to see. So believe it or not, Columbus is the capital of Ohio. So if you guys live in Ohio, your answer to the question, what is the capital, is Columbus. So once again, Frankfurt is the capital of Kentucky. Columbus is the capital of Ohio. Okay, now let's talk about those territories. If you remember, we mentioned that there are five U.S. territories. So if you'll notice here at the bottom, you will see the names of those 5 territories. Now, everyone, let's say them together, and the numbers are here on the screen. Okay, so I'm just going to point to them, and I'll read the number 1 and number 2 and so on. So everyone, let's start with number 1. So guys, say this with me. Okay, so repeat after me. The Virgin Islands.
The Virgin Islands.
Virgin Islands.
Okay, so that's number 1 there on the map. Okay, number 2, let's say it, American Samoa.
American Samoa.
So American Samoa is here. So if you remember, there's Hawaii right there. These little islands here. So American Samoa is also another territory. Okay, let's say the next one, Guam. Everyone say number 3 there, Guam.
Guam.
Okay, and if you look over here on the right, it's in the Pacific Ocean. It's right here, not very far from Japan or Australia. Okay, so it's number 3 that you see there. Okay, let's say number 4, the Northern Mariana Islands. Everybody.
The Northern
Mariana
Islands.
And again, they're here also in the Pacific Ocean. Okay, and then finally, probably the territory that most people know is number 5 here, which is Puerto Rico. Everyone, let's say that. Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
Now, of course, if you want to say it in Spanish, right? So, Gisela, how would we say it in Spanish?
Puerto
Is
Rico.
it Puerto Rico?
So
Puerto Rico.
you can sing it.
Puerto Rico.
Can you sing it?
Puerto Rico.
Puerto
Puerto
Rico. Can you move your tongue?
Rico.
Rico. Okay. So there you go. So now, on the test, you only have to know one territory. So they will say, tell us one territory. So my recommendation to you is to say Puerto Rico. So I would use
Yeah.
Puerto Rico as the answer to that question because that's one everybody knows. Okay, so again, Puerto Rico is one of those territories. But remember, there are 5 U.S. territories. Now, students want to know, okay, well, Mr. John, what's the difference between a territory and a state? Well, one thing we need to remember is that a territory does not get to vote for president, but they are citizens of the United States. So I want to make sure this is clear because even Americans every day are confused about this. So if you'll notice here on the screen, it says here, I'm going to read this next part here. So I'm sorry, that should say people who are from, I'm sorry, let me fix that. People who are from, sorry guys. I changed it at the last minute and I forgot to fix it. Okay, so people who are from the United States territories of Guam, Samoa, the U.S. Virgin Islands, the Mariana Islands, and Puerto Rico are already citizens of the United States. So again, people from Puerto Rico, if they were born in Puerto Rico, they're a citizen of the United States. If they're born in Guam, Samoa, any of those territories, they are citizens. However, if they live in those places, they cannot vote for president or for Congress. So keep in mind, they have some of the rights of citizenship, but not all of them. So instead, each of these territories has what we call a governor. Now, we'll talk about the governors of Kentucky and Ohio later in the class. But again, these governors are kind of not exactly like the presidents of their territories. So it's kind of strange. They're part of America. They're a territory of the United States, but they don't get to vote for president or for Congress. So in a way, their president is the United States president, but they don't get to vote for them. Okay, so just to share that little piece of information, they are citizens of the United States. Okay, they are citizens. Okay, all right, well, guys, it's time to review some of the information we've learned today. Now, in terms of our first question, let's think about states that border Mexico. So remember, Mexico is to the south. Can somebody tell me the name of one state that borders Mexico? Anybody have a guess?
New Mexico?
Yeah, so there are actually a few states. So everyone, let's say these states together. Are we ready? Let's say them. California.
California.
Arizona.
Arizona.
New Mexico.
New
New
Mexico.
Mexico.
And Texas.
Texas.
So these states border, these states are the border. And remember, the border is this difference, right, where the two countries meet. So in this case, you only need to name one of those states. So you could say New Mexico, Elena, you could say Texas, right? Elaine, you could say California if you like, but you only need one of those states. Okay, so once again, one state that borders California, Arizona, New Mexico, or Texas. Okay, all right, let's try number 2. Can we name one of the 2 longest rivers in the United States? Who knows this one?
Mississippi.
Mississippi.
Very good. So we can say the Mississippi, or we could say the Missouri. So remember,
Missouri.
both of these. Yeah.
Missouri.
Now, so I told you, for example, if you look at the map, here's the Mississippi. So if you look at here in the south of the Gulf of Mexico, so there is, let me turn on my pointer for just a little easier there. There we go. So if you see New Orleans and the Gulf of Mexico, so the Mississippi River finishes here, all the way down in the Gulf of Mexico. But if you follow the Mississippi, it actually goes by Kentucky, by Tennessee, by Illinois, all the way up. Let's see if I can move that. So all the way up here into Minnesota. So as you can see, it is a very, very long river. Okay. And then if you look at the Missouri River, if you look at the Missouri River, Missouri kind of goes here from St. Louis and then continues out into the west of the United States. So believe it or not, this is true. I know you might be surprised by this, but the Missouri River is actually a little bit longer than the Mississippi. That surprises a lot of people. Most people think the Mississippi is the longest river in the United States, but that's not true. It's actually the Missouri River. But again, the Mississippi River, yes. So that is a correct answer. So remember, you only have to get one of those rivers. All right, let's continue. Okay, now who can remember what ocean is on the west coast?
Pacific.
Ocean Pacific.
It is the Pacific Ocean. That is correct. Yeah, so there's California, right? There's Los Angeles. So this would be the Pacific Ocean. Now, what's interesting is in California, California has many islands too. So believe it or not, you can actually travel to some of these islands if you go to Los Angeles. But yes, Pacific Ocean is the answer. Okay, guys, next question. Which country is located to the north of the United States?
Canada.
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 Very good. It's Canada. Now, take a look. Again, look at Canada. Look how big it is. It is. It's a very big country. Look at that. In fact, it has the longest shore, the longest coast of any country in the world. That's because much of it is touching the water. Okay? And excuse me. And also the border between Canada and the United States. See that border? See how long it is? That is the longest border in the world. It's the longest border between two countries. So it's a very, very, very long border between these two countries. So in a moment, we're going to talk about that border. So can we name one state that borders Canada? We talked about one of them already.
California.
Not California.
No,
that would be Mexico.
Niagara. No.
Mexico. New York.
New York. Okay.
New York,
yeah.
yes.
But I mentioned one all the way up. Remember that one all the way up? What was the one all the way up in Canada? Anybody remember?
Alaska.
Alaska. Congratulations. Yeah. Don't forget, Alaska borders Canada. But look at all of these states. Look at all of these states down here. So everybody, we're going to say these states together. Are we ready? Okay. So again, I'm referring to these states here. So we already know Alaska. So actually there is a total of 15 that border Canada. So everyone, let's say these together. Are we ready? So here we go. Let's say them. Washington.
Washington.
Idaho.
Idaho.
Montana. North Dakota.
North Dakota.
Minnesota. Michigan. Now notice Michigan has two parts, right? So there's the upper part, we call it the Upper Peninsula, and then we have the part that looks like a hand, right? Looks like a mint.
Yeah.
Now here's a big surprise. Ohio.
Ohio.
Most people don't know that. If you talk to an American and you say, does Ohio border Canada? They would say no. But remember, the lakes, the Great Lakes, remember those Great Lakes we talked about? The border of Canada is in the middle of those Great Lakes. So Ohio actually borders Canada through the lake. So that's a surprise. All right, guys, let's continue. Pennsylvania. New York. Okay, then we got these little ones over here. Vermont. New Hampshire. And finally, Maine. Now remember, guys, the question says, can you name one of those states? So again, you could say Alaska, you could say Washington, you could say any of them. You could even say Ohio. So in this case, that might be a surprise. But again, you only need to know one of those. Okay, guys, what's the capital of your state?
Frankfurt.
Yeah, so if we're in Kentucky, it's Frankfurt. And if it's Ohio?
Columbus.
Gisela, Gisela, are you in Ohio?
Yeah, I'm in Amelia, Ohio.
Okay, so you got to know that one. All right. So yes. So Kentucky is Frankfurt, Ohio is Columbus. Okay, guys, can we name one U.S. territory?
Puerto Rico.
Yeah, Puerto Rico. Now remember there are 5. So let's say them one more time. Are we ready? So let's say them together. Puerto Rico,
Puerto
Puerto
Rico,
Puerto
Rico,
Rico,
Guam,
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 U.S. Virgin
Virgin
Islands,
Island,
U.S.
U.S.
Virgin
Virgin
Islands,
Virgin
Islands,
Islands,
American Samoa,
American
American
Samoa,
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 Mariana Islands.
Mariana
Mariana
Islands,
Mariana
Islands.
Islands,
And which one did I recommend for the answer?
Puerto
Puerto
Rico.
Rico,
Yeah,
Puerto
Puerto
Rico,
Rico. That's
Puerto
the
Rico.
easiest. So remember, guys, those are the territories. So there are 50 states and 5 territories. Okay, guys, we have reached the end of week number 2. It's hard to believe. When we have fun, time flies. But
Yeah.
a couple of things to remember. Please, please, please. So Elaine, we talked about this at the beginning of class. We need to practice those 100 questions every day. Are you practicing them at home? Are you Did you download the app on your phone, or do you practice those questions? Guys, if you're going to pass the citizenship test, you've got to practice them. So again, after class, I'll send them to you again in your email. But now today, we also need to practice for the reading and writing sections. So again, after we're finished here, I will send you a link to the reading and the writing vocabulary. You've got to practice those words. And again, you can find all of this information. So I will send this to you in your email, but you can also find it on our new citizenship website. Now, let me take you to the website one more time. So if you remember, on our new citizenship website, what I'm doing is every week I'm posting the video from our class. So the video that we're making right now, I will post it on the page. And then any of the documents, any of the links that we use, I put it right here. So let's take a look at it. So again, the lesson that we learned last week is right here. The link to those 100 questions, and you have audio so you can practice. And then I also included the video. Last week we talked about the Pledge of Allegiance. So I included, again, I sent this in your email, but remember the little video, the kids are putting their hands next to their heart and they're saying the Pledge of Allegiance. So you can watch it. You can see how the pledge works. And remember, every week I post the recording of the class on the page. So you can go back and listen to my wonderful voice and see my very, very handsome face right here every week. Okay? So you can go back and review that information. All right, everybody. Do I have any questions before we leave here today?